Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey with Nicole and Azan on 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. And in case you haven't already known about such a thing, there is a subscribe button below. If you want to subscribe to this channel, go ahead and do that. If you don't, don't. If you've already subscribed and you want to unsubscribe, click unsubscribe. Comment below, give the up thumbs or the down thumbs, whatever you want to do. It's a free world, and let's get to the show.
Good.
Good. Nice to meet you.
مرحبا بكم.
Oh.
Hey.
Bismillah.
Thank you.
This reminds me, in my earlier part of my career, I would do a lot of in-home family therapy, and I would work with families from Morocco at times, and they would have this tea guest ceremony, if you will, that when guests would come out, they would have this very elaborate tea set thing, and you would pour it like that, and it's this welcoming thing, like, come into our home, let me make you some tea that's very delicious, and we'll have a talk and we'll bond. And it's a very sweet gesture, and it really works. It really works to make you feel welcome and make you feel like you're doing something together. And the silverware and the glasses were always so ornate with all sorts of symbols and stuff. It was pretty cool. And some of the families that I worked with were very, very poor, and yet they would have a very, very special tea set that seemed like it might have been passed down through the generations. So I don't know if that's what this family's doing, but it just reminds me of that. I think Ethiopians also have a similar ceremonial welcome that I would get when I would visit their homes.
Hey, what you saying? Talking about.
And coming up.
Wow, what couple is that? That's some straight up violence right there. That's awful.
What you talking about?
I'm glad to see that the camera guys and the producers are actually swooping in. Sometimes they don't help out, so it's good that they actually did. That was quite a scene. I have no idea who this couple is. I'm skipping over. Occasionally I catch some of these scenes, and I don't even know what I'm looking at. It looks really just awful.
You're just now figuring this out.
Well, I thought it would work.
You did your research before you left?
I did.
Sure, because obviously something fell through the cracks.
So I'm a little worried about the wedding.
You got people coming, honey. What are you going to do?
I don't know.
Well, you better figure out.
All right, I don't know if I showed all the clips. So Nicole was bringing a lot of paperwork so that they could get married in Morocco. And she brought copies of one document instead of the original document. And I just have to say, I haven't ever tried to apply for a visa, but I've done similar kinds of things along these lines. And I have to say, it can get real confusing. So it doesn't surprise me that Nicole and Azan have made some mistakes as they deal with governments and paperwork. I don't know, but it's probably an innocent mistake that Nicole made. Regardless, Nicole has made a mistake, and now the visa can't be obtained in time for the wedding, so they're going to have to cancel the wedding and push it back, which means that the rest of Nicole's family has to cancel their flight plans and put it off for another time. And the mom is now upset, and she's starting to grill Nicole about it, and we start to see that dynamic happening. The mom is starting to chastise Nicole like she is a child, and Nicole is definitely starting to act like a child. So let's continue watching.
I have to move it.
So what are we thinking? Are we thinking a week?
It's at least a month and a half.
Everybody's booked plane tickets. We have accommodations that we've already booked and
we're ready for, and we're talking days away from the wedding.
This is on you because you didn't do enough research.
I know it is, and I know that I messed up, but I don't know what to say. I just feel really bad that all this happened, and I don't want to move it, but I don't know what else to do.
All right, so actually this is growth we're seeing from previous interactions, at least what we've seen on the TV show, which is at the beginning of that, which I'll replay it, this is what I hear. In the beginning of what her response was to her mom, she was starting to dip into that 13-year-old voice. I know it is, isn't it? Again, as I always say, I'm not mocking Nicole. I'm just providing the tone of voice that she falls into. But then as she powered her way through that sentence, her voice kind of deepened a little bit. Now, I'm not saying you're supposed to talk in a deep voice. My point is that I imagine that what's happening for Nicole in that moment, she might have even sensed she was slipping into a regressed state. And she thought, oh no, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to be more mature. I'm going to state my feelings. I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet. I have enough self-esteem to say, yes, I made a mistake, and I'm really sorry, and I don't know what to do. That's what adults do, or mature people do, or differentiated people do, is they will say, yeah, I made a mistake, and I've let everybody down. And I'm so sorry. And I tried. Believe me, when I looked at the instructions, I tried to follow it to a T. I must have missed that part. I don't know. I feel like I didn't miss that part, but maybe I did. And I just feel so bad for everyone. Okay. So the way I just said that, that's what an adult says. Now, how can an adult say that? 5-year-olds can't say that. A 5-year-old, when they knock something over, and a vase, they're playing roughhouse in the house, and they knock the TV over, and the TV smashes on the ground. The 5-year-old doesn't go, parents, I'm so sorry. I was roughhousing. Me, I love to roughhouse. And one thing led to another, and I know you told me to stop roughhousing, and I should have listened to you, but I bumped into the television, and I'm not going to say this, but the television wasn't very securely attached to the wall. But you know what? Hey, that's on me. I shouldn't have bumped into the TV. Okay, a 5-year-old isn't going to say that. Okay, why can an adult say that that's differentiated, and a 5-year-old not be able to say that? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is self-esteem. The ability to fall back on yourself and say, you know what, I'm a good person. I made a mistake. All that has to happen internally. For the person to say, I have made a mistake, and I feel bad, but I know that I'm a good person. And I know in general I don't make mistakes. And I know that I gave it my best shot. And everyone makes mistakes. And you know what? Right now, a lot of people are going to be disappointed in me. A lot of bad thoughts and bad statements are going to be made about me. But I know that I'm a good person, regardless of all that chaos that's going to happen, regardless of the criticism and the insults and everything. I know I'm a good person. Now, how do we have that self-esteem? Well, we get that self-esteem through social interactions. When people treat us with high self-esteem, we get self-esteem. We have this notion in society that you're just supposed to have self-esteem. You're just supposed to spring from the womb with good self-esteem. No, we get self-esteem through people treating us well, treating us like we have, worth, treating us like we're good at things, praising us, giving us a chance to learn from our own mistakes, pointing out things that we're doing well, these kinds of things, giving us the opportunity to, take responsibility and go with things on our own so that we can build our own confidence in doing something. So I think Nicole has a bit of that. And in that moment, she was slipping into a regressive 12-year-old state of low self-esteem, that she couldn't rely on that self-esteem to stand on, and then you heard her kind of shift into that. I think this is a good sign. Let's rewatch that.
This is on you because you didn't do enough research.
I know it is, and I know that I messed up, but I don't know what to say. I just feel really bad that all this happened, and I don't want to move it, but I don't know what else to do.
So you heard that transition, and by the end, she's like, you know what? I didn't want to have to push the wedding back, but I guess that's what we're going to have to do, and I don't know what to do, and I'm really sorry. You heard, if you made a mistake, and it's an innocent mistake. You didn't mean to make the mistake. People make mistakes sometimes, particularly when it comes to government and paperwork.
I understand why Wafa's upset. She's done so much for this wedding. I don't know what to say. I just feel terrible, and I hope they understand.
عرفتوا قديش خسرنا تاع الفلوس؟
She said, do you see how much money she lost?
6 مليون.
It's like 6,000 in America. Say something.
I don't know what to say.
All right, so I don't know if you know what's happening right here. The family, they spent a lot of money on the wedding, and they're going to lose a lot of money because the wedding has to be postponed because they weren't able to get their visa in time because Nicole didn't have the right paperwork. And the family's upset, and it looks as though Nicole is just being very quiet, and she's, smiling and being shy. And what that looks like to the family, I'm guessing, is that Nicole doesn't care. I think Nicole very much does care, but because she doesn't know what to do, and because I think she vacillates in her self-esteem, and she might be having a low self-esteem moment in this moment, she will regress and try to be very small. When you chastise a 7-year-old, it's not uncommon. Like a 7-year-old is in trouble with the neighbors or something. It's not uncommon for your 7-year-old to just be quiet. Even though your 7-year-old has empathy and is a good kid, they're just overwhelmed. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to use their words. They just want the whole thing to end, and so they're just going to crawl into a hole and hope it just goes away. Nicole seems to be doing that. Now, to the family, like I said, I think they might misinterpret that as indifference. So we just heard Azan say, hey, Nicole, say something. So, say something. Now, what would we hope Nicole might say in a situation like this? Well, it might be something like, I am so sorry about this. I cannot tell you how sorry I am. And if you want me to pay you back one day, I will. When I earn $6,000, I'm going to pay you back because this is all on me. This is my fault. But let me tell you why I made the mistake. I had the list online of what I needed to have, and I didn't know they meant an original. I had all the other paperwork in line, but I didn't know they wanted an original of this thing. And when I went to the place to get the paperwork, they just gave me a copy. I didn't even realize that I had access to the original. And it's just a terrible mistake. And believe me, I tried to do this right. And I just feel so bad. And of course, this isn't your fault. This is my fault. I want to pay for the wedding that I want to pay for the money that you lost, that kind of thing. Something like that, right? But in order to say that, as I've been saying, you need to have self-esteem to withstand the onslaught of criticism, to be able to admit that you did something wrong, to be able to say, I screwed up. In order to say that, you need to have the self-esteem underneath that says, yeah, I screwed up, but, I'm basically a good person. But when you have no self-esteem, when you have to admit you did something wrong, you're just 100% shame. That's all you are, just one big ball of shame, and you just crumble under the weight of it all, which I think Nicole is doing.
I don't like that your sister is mad at me, and I want you to say stuff. To apologize to her.
Look, you don't want her to be mad that you didn't say something to her.
You need to tell her something. She's
Okay,
your
I will,
sister.
but
So what age would Nicole be exhibiting right now? The way she's talking. Definitely not that of an adult. I think Nicole's 24 or something, 23. We would characterize this more as someone that was 13 at the oldest, maybe 15. Could be even 7 years old, the way that she's talking. Let's rewind.
عرفتوا قديش خسرنا تاع الفلوس؟
she said, do you see how much money she lost?
6 مليون.
It's like 6,000 in America. Say something.
I don't know what to say. I don't like that your sister is mad at me, and I want you to say stuff. To apologize to her.
Look, you don't want her to be mad that you didn't say something to her.
You need to tell her something. She's
Okay,
your
I
sister.
will, but-
You should apologize for us.
قالت لي المهم دابا اسمحي لي وما بقات بدير هكا.
So you see that behavior, right? You see that Nicole is regressing in that moment. And I just feel bad for her, honestly. Usually people act that way because they haven't been praised enough as a child. They haven't been given enough chance to be competent in the world and be able to stand on their own 2 feet. Maybe they were criticized a lot. It just makes me kind of sad to watch. All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.